Hi everyone, welcome back to What the Horror. I hope you're all doing really well. If you're new here and you like horror and you like movies, then don't forget to click that subscribe button, as I am here for you with movie reviews, rankings, deep dives and comparisons. But in today's episode, we are not talking movie reviews, rankings, comparisons and deep dives. No, today we are talking about all of the horror movies that are my most anticipated releases of 2022. I'm very excited about these, especially when I've reread the list and reminded myself of all the amazing movies that are coming out. But I did have to have a little chat with myself and remind myself that some of these films that are coming out next year have already been delayed due to recent and current world events, and it's not in the realms of fantasy that some of them may be delayed further. But for the sake of this episode, let's be hopeful and let's imagine if these films do come out and if we do get to watch them. So first up is the new Scream film. This is due to be released in very early January of next year, and yes, it is one of the first horror movies to come out, so that is why it's first on the list. But let's be honest, this would be first on my list whether it came out at the end of the year or not. Scream and Psycho often duke it out as my favourite horror movie of all time, so I am very excited about this release. As I said earlier, this film is due to be released in early January and sees the return of the magic trio in Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox and David Arquette as Sidney, Gale and Dewey. And the production company taking over rights of this film is Spyglass Media after the dissolution of the original executive production company. It is now being directed by Radio Silence, who previously brought us VHS and Ready or Not, so it is in very capable hands. I have stayed away from any information to do with this film, any articles online or in magazines. I did allow myself to watch the first trailer, which I might have welled up a little bit at, but I'm not going to watch any other trailers. I just want to go into the film as blind as I can be and just enjoy it. Next up, we have Orphan First Kill, also due to be released in January of next year. This acts as a prequel to the original Orphan that was released in 2009. It is directed by William Bell, who previously brought us The Boy and The Boy 2, which are not the strongest horror movies, but we'll see what he does with this one. It sees the return of Esther, only this time calling herself Lena as the titular orphan, this time impersonating the missing daughter of a wealthy family, but she finds herself pitted against a determined mother. Now, I really enjoyed the original Orphan. I thought it was a really good film, and I thought that Isabel Fuhrman was incredibly creepy as Esther, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with this prequel, not sequel. Then we have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel, which is due to be released on February 18th on Netflix. This is directed by a relatively new director, David Garcia, and is written by Chris Devlin. But the story's concept was written by the same writing team who brought us the 2013 Evil Dead remake, which I thought was absolutely amazing. So I'm very excited about this one. It takes place 50 years after the original one, acting as a direct sequel. Yes, another one. This franchise's timelines could give Halloween a run for its money. It sounds as though the team behind this movie have been very respectful of the franchise and its fans, though. I read that they wanted to create the same sense of dread and shock that Tobe Hooper's original did all the way back in 1974. Then we have The Northman, which will be released on April 22nd and is directed by Robert Eggers, who previously brought us The Witch, or The Witch, and The Lighthouse. The Northman has a very exciting cast in Anya Taylor-Joy, Kate Dickie, William Dafoe, Nicole Kidman, Ethan Hawke, and both Alexander and Bill Skarsgård. It is set at the turn of the 10th century in Iceland as Viking Prince Amleth seeks revenge for the murder of his father. Now, with this incredible cast behind it and Eggers directing it, this could potentially be one of the best releases next year. So the next film is a little bit of a mystery to a lot of people. We don't really know that much about it, except for we know it's called Nope. It is due to be released in July and is written and directed by Jordan Peele. It stars Keke Palmer, Daniel Kaluuya, Stephen Yeun and Michael Wincott. Now, Jordan Peele has previously brought us films like Get Out and Us and was involved in the 2019 Candyman, so although we don't know a great deal about it, I think we can imagine that it's probably going to be quite good. Next we have Don't Worry Darling, which is due to be released on the 23rd of September. It is directed by Olivia Wilde and stars Florence Pugh, Chris Pine, Harry Styles and Gemma Chan. Now, when I first heard about this film, I didn't know who was directing it, I didn't know who starred in it, I just read the synopsis of a 1950s housewife living with her husband in a utopian experimental community begins to worry that his glamorous company may be hiding disturbing secrets. And once I read that, I knew that I wanted to watch it. I love films and horror films that have a vintage or a historical setting. And when I read that this was a horror film set in the 1950s, I was very excited about checking it out. Now, production has wrapped, or filming has wrapped on this film. It finished in September of this year, I believe, so it's a shame that we have to wait so long for the release, but hopefully it will be worth the wait. And finally, for movies where we know the release date of them, we have Halloween Ends, which is due to be released in October. This is, of course, the third and final instalment in the David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy. Now, I loved Halloween 2018, but I was a little less of a fan of Halloween Kills, but I am still really excited about Halloween Ends. I'm a fan of the franchise as a whole, and I'm also hoping that a lot of the issues that I found with Halloween Kills will pay off or be explained in Halloween Ends. Halloween Kills is a middle film, it's a filler film, so there's obviously going to be things left open and unexplained. So I'm hoping that, we get some payoff with Halloween Ends. Now, looking on IMDb, it looks as though Laurie and Alison return, and so does Lindsay Wallace. I don't really have many expectations as far as this film goes. I'm going to go into it open-minded and just see what happens, because it seems like some of the big franchises like Halloween and Scream seem afraid to kill off any of the big names, and that removes a level of tension for me within these films. But definitely going to watch it and we'll see what happens. So the next movies on the list are either in pre or post production and are not quite finished yet, so we haven't really got a release date for them or even an idea of which month they're going to come out. So there's Evil Dead Rise, which is due to be released next year on HBO Max. It was written and directed by Lee Cronin and has Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell as executive producers. It is the fifth installment in the Evil Dead franchise, but it is not a direct sequel to the 2013 Evil Dead remake. This one follows two sisters, where one of them pays a visit to the other in her LA apartment where she lives with her 3 children. The reunion is cut short though when they find a mysterious book in the basement of the building, which gives rise to flesh-possessing demons, and anyone who has seen any of the installments in this franchise can guess what happens next. Then we have My Best Friend's Exorcism, which is based on the book of the same name, which has been on my to-read list for a very long time. I should probably just get on and read that, and it also has one of the coolest covers I've ever seen. It follows 2 girls in the 1980s who have been best friends since they were 10 years old, but when they start high school, Gretchen begins to act strange and differently, and it leads her best friend to believe that she must be possessed by a demon. Next we have The Menu, which is described as a dark comedy horror thriller. It is directed by Mark Mylod and stars Anya Taylor-Joy and Nicholas Hoult as a couple who travel to a remote island to eat at an exclusive restaurant where Chef Slowick has prepared a lavish menu with some shocking surprises. As far as I can tell online, they haven't finished production on this yet, so I'm not sure when it will be released. I am a fan of dark comedies though, when and if they're done well, a la Shaun of the Dead, so I am looking forward to seeing this, and also anything that Taylor-Joy puts her name to at the moment just turns out to be pure gold. Then we have She Came From the Woods, which is currently in post-production and is based on the short film of the same name that was released in 2017. Both the film and the short are directed by Eric Blomquist, and both are written by him and his brother Carson. The Blomquist brothers say that She Came From the Woods is a coming-of-age horror movie rooted in themes of familial legacy, the dangers of groupthink, and the motives behind the stories we tell and the secrets we keep. The synopsis for the film on IMDb is that the staff of an overnight camp conjure an old legend on the last day of summer in 1987. Now, obviously, a film having a summer camp setting in the 80s definitely makes me think of films like Friday the 13th, but like I said earlier, I love a film with a vintage setting. Next, we have Adrift, which stars Jared Leto, is directed by Darren Aronofsky, and is produced by Jason Blum. The film follows a fishing boat which discovers an abandoned yacht out at sea, and when one of the fishing boat's members of staff agrees to man the yacht as it's towed back to port, he discovers a logbook which details the fate of the yacht's inhabitants, and he soon senses a malevolent presence on board. So Adrift's story is based off of a short story that was written by Koji Suzuki, who is a Japanese author best known for writing Ringu. Apparently it was Leto who pursued the rights to the film, eventually partnering up with Jason Blum. I love The Ring and supernatural ghost stories, so very excited for this one. So there you have it, guys, my most anticipated horror movies of 2022. It is early days and we may get more announcements as the months go on, but as it stands, we do have a fair few good ones to look forward to. Which horror movies are you most looking forward to in 2022? Let me know down below. I will also be doing another one of these episodes, my most anticipated non-horror films of 2022, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on that. But in the meantime, thank you as always for stopping by and listening to this humble horror fan's thoughts. I appreciate each and every one of you. Take care of yourselves and I will talk to you in the next episode. Bye guys.